Hello, Shanice. This is Daddy, and this is another lecture analysis about a tale in the Canterbury Tales. This is a lecture analysis of the Man of Law's tale. We will still use this book to study and analyze the Canterbury Tales. And this edition was published in 2013. Let's begin. Analysis of the Man of Law's tale. Servants are humble. Geoffrey Chaucer, 2013 wrote, open quote, "It can return to us again, once sped, no more than can poor Molly's maidenhead, when she has lost it in her wantonness." Close quote. Page 123. Servants hold up their masters. It requires more strength to be a servant than a master. The older generation serves the younger generation. The younger generation stands on the older generation's shoulders. The younger generation stands on the older generation's shoulders. For example, some children live on lands and in houses that their grandparents buy. It requires humility to silence oneself and allow another person to judge a matter. Chaucer, 2013 wrote, open quote, "You all submitted, your consent was free, to put this case for judgment up to me." Close quote, page 123. Some people are wiser than we are. We don't have all the knowledge. To illustrate, subordinates follow supervisors' judgments. Some supervisors experience the same trials as their subordinates. Therefore, the supervisors become teachers to their subordinates. Everybody should submit to the laws. Chaucer, 2013 wrote, open quote, "Laws are for all, and he who seeks to lay them on others should by rights himself obey them." Close quote. Page 123. The letters of the law come from an invisible source. This source is higher than human understanding. Knowledge is humbled to earth. Earth is natural. We understand the natural. Some people sacrifice themselves for others' affections. Chaucer, 2013 wrote, open quote, "There you may also listen to the moan of Deianira and Hermione, or Ariadne and Hypsipyle. The barren island in the foaming sound is there to see, and brave Leander drowned for a hero's love. And you may count the woes of Briseis, or see the tear that flows, Helen, from thee and thee, Laodamia." Close quote, page 124. Other people take us for granted sometimes. They believe we are always there. They depend on our reliability. Consequently, other people take advantage of us, especially if they are very assertive. These experiences with other people lead us to break our relationships with them and become fiercely independent. Some of us depend on other people to be concerned for us. Chaucer 2013 wrote, open quote, open quote, I'd rather not be likened, if you please, to those old muses called parrots. The metamorphoses know what I mean. Nevertheless, I do not care a bean though I plod on behind him. Somewhat dim, I speak plain prose and leave the rhymes to him. Close quote, close quote. Page 125. We are immature sometimes. We miss our childhoods. Adults have more concerns than children have. Children are not concerned about provisions. However, fathers and mothers work to provide for their children. Everybody knows that we need something. Chaucer 2013 wrote, open quote, by hunger, thirst, and cold to be confounded, to feel harsh shame at asking a few pence, or asking none, to know yourself surrounded by such necessity your need is sounded in every ear and you are left to creep about and borrow, beg or steal your keep. Close quote. Page 125. This need keeps us humble. However, some people see humility as a weakness. Therefore, they steal from other people or rob other people to fulfill a need and prove their strength. Notwithstanding, some people might fulfill one need and discover another need. In addition, some people lack the power to fulfill certain needs. For example, we need the truth. However, some people believe they don't need the truth and deny the truth. We can steal books from other people, but we cannot steal truth from them. Truth comes from understanding. Some of us blame religions for our poverty. Chaucer 2013 wrote, open quote, you lay the blame on Christ and bitterly reproach him for misdealing wealth. The home your neighbor has sets you at enmity. You say, open quote, I have so little, he has all. Close quote, close quote. Page 125. In some religious organizations, there are wealth disparities. To illustrate, the only prosperous people are the officers of these organizations and their families, but everybody else suffer lack. In addition, these religious leaders persuade other people to give them provisions from other people's needs. Consequently, other people suffer worse. Even certain religious leaders threaten other people with curses if they don't give the organizations money. This is extortion. Even certain religious leaders threaten other people with curses if they don't give the organizations money. This is extortion. We have limits to the amount of oppression we can bear. Chaucer 2013 wrote, open quote, then listen to the opinion of the wise, open quote, Better to die than live in indigence such as your next door neighbors will despise. Close quote, close quote. Page 125. The human body has boundaries. If we consume too much food and drinks, we become sick. If we carry an excessively heavy load on our shoulders, our bones or muscle break and tear or we fall. If we carry an excessively heavy load on our shoulders, our bones or muscles break and tear or we fall. We should not expect ourselves to be supermen and superwomen. Let us be content with who we are. Humility is a choice. Chaucer 2013 wrote, open quote, if you be poor, farewell to eminence, close quote. Page 125. We don't need to act like we own the world. Contrary to the rap group West Side Connection, the world is not ours. Who did we buy the world from? How much does the world cost? We cannot afford the world. We struggle to afford ourselves. We struggle to provide food, water, clothing, shelter, education, transportation, and insurance for ourselves. Poor people are separated from everybody else. Chaucer 2013 wrote, open quote, yet from the wise take this for common sense that to the poor all times are out of joint. Therefore beware of reaching such a point. Close quote. Page 125. Most people believe that poor people can't do anything for them. Everything has a monetary value in this world. Poor people don't have much money. They are unable to share their money with other people and sustain themselves. Therefore, many poor people become selfish. This selfishness is not a result of a mean spirit, but it is for survival. Most people want to use us for our status and money. Chaucer 2013 wrote, open quote, if you are poor, your very brother hates you and all your friends avoid you. Sad to say, close quote. Page 126. My late grandmother said, open quote, if you don't have Jesus, you don't have a friend, close quote. According to scriptures, Jesus did not come to take from other people. He came to give to other people. In addition, Jesus gave the truth and not a lie. Jesus gave good and not evil. Jesus gave righteousness and not wickedness even to his enemies. Plus, Jesus commanded us to do the same. Thus, revenge is not God's will for us. Poor people have power over oppression. Chaucer 2013 wrote, open quote, peerless in beauty, yet untouched by pride, young but untainted by frivolity. In all her dealings, goodness is her guide, and humbleness has vanquished tyranny. She is the mirror of all courtesy, her heart the very chamber of holiness, her hand the minister to all distress. Close quote, page 127. However, some poor people pay more attention to their environments than their potential. Consequently, they don't work to bring themselves out of their troubles. They first become angry at their troubles. Then they submit to their troubles. Moreover, they become content with their troubles forever or until death. Hence, they don't believe in salvation in this life, so death becomes a door to salvation for them. Some of us are open quote ships, close quote, for other people. Chaucer 2013 wrote, open quote, all this was true as God himself is true, but to our purpose. When their ships were laden, these Syrian merchants started off anew for Syria, having seen this blissful maiden, happy in this as in the goods they trade in, pursue their business as they did before and live contented. I can say no more. Close quote. Page 127. We carry other people's wealth. To illustrate, we wear what other people see as valuable to wear. We believe other people's values. We do what other people judge as important, but we set aside and forget about our goals. Other people become our lords. We idolize them. Being wealthy and powerful is no excuse for arrogance. Chaucer 2013 wrote, open quote, it happened that these merchants stood in grace with the young Syrian sultan, close quote, page 127. Aristocrats can use their status and possession to uplift poor people. Poor people need help. Some poor people help themselves. However, certain troubles are so great that no amount of individual fearing can get a poor person out of these troubles. The truth is that some aristocrats distance themselves from poor people because they believe it is a waste of resources to help poor people. Some aristocrats believe poor people are ungrateful. We should allow love to restrain our words, actions, and ways. Chaucer 2013 wrote, open quote, in that large book that overhangs the earth and people call the heavens, it well may be that it was written in his stars at birth love was to be his death. For certainly the death of every man is there to see patterned in stars clearer than in a glass. Could one but read how all will come to pass. Close quote. Page 128. Love is acceptance, but hatred is rejection. If we love our enemies, we don't offend them like they offend us. We don't have the rights to cast anybody out of the human race, regardless of their words, actions, and ways. People offend other people for ignorance. They don't understand that we make up one body and we depend on one another. We will be humbled. Chaucer 2013 wrote, open quote, for in the stars and many years before his birth, the death of proud Achilles stood, Hector's and Pompey's, Caesar's too, the war of Thebes, showing Samson's death, the hardihood of Hercules, and Socrates the good and Turnus murdered. All was written plain, close quote, page 128. We don't stay on the top forever. For example, people retire from jobs. People lose their health and become weak. People lose their independence and become dependent on others. It is useless to fight humility. Just accept our humility as a fact of life. However, if we live humble, the ultimate humility of death does not shock us much. To the contrary, the denial of our death shocks us a lot and sends us into an eternal rage with sorrows because we believe the lie that nothing humbles us. And this concludes the lecture. Thank you for listening to this lecture, Shanice. I hope you understand it and do better in your English 4 classes as well as your other classes. Stand by for the next lecture analysis. Have a blessed day.